Good evening and welcome back to the Football Fanatic podcast. This is episode 47. We're nearly there, man, on episode 50. I absolutely had no, I didn't think we'd ever make 20, never mind 50, but here we are. How we all doing? We all good? Moss, no need to answer
I'm
that.
not good. I'm not good. Yeah.
The rest of us are good. The rest of us
Yeah,
are great.
Dan, you're
Aren't we,
good?
Dan?
Good, yeah. Happy to be here. Great weekend of entertainment as always.
Absolutely. It's kind of a sad. Actually, hold on. Was it a friend of mine texted me. He's a Liverpool fan, and he texted me going, "Was I watching the United match?" Which is where we're going to start. And he goes, "Is it sad or is it funny?" And I like United's kind of current predicament. And cause he's one of the kind of usual typical Liverpool fans who really despise United and have for a long time. But in this, he said it was sad as opposed to funny. He looks at them now as opposed to where they are in the rivalry that Liverpool United they still have, but not to the extent that they did have. And he just said it's tough to kind of watch them languishing down in 12th, etc. It kind of got me thinking I'd like to spend just a little bit of time just ask. I know we've gone over it before, United, we've gone over it multiple times, but has it been this bad before? And how did it get this bad? I suppose are the two main questions. Moss, I'm going to start with you, and I'm not taking the piss here. I'm not focusing in on just because we have a United fan. I'm curious, is this as bad as it has been? First question, and second question, how has it got to here?
I found yesterday as probably the lowest feeling I've ever had watching United. That first 45 minutes were just,
Yeah.
they were awful.
And
Um,
what was it? I was watching again. I don't know, lads. I'm sure you're watching as well. Was it the lack of desire? Was it the team that he had out? Was it just no kind of inspiration from the sideline?
you have to look at the system that he's playing because we basically conceded a carbon copy of a deep line player running the whole way through us to
Hmm.
scoring a goal against 20 in the midweek. And Van der Ven in the first 3 minutes did the exact same thing.
Yeah,
Um, it's like our defenders want to defend deep, forwards want to high press high, and we have a shitload of space in the middle. And every now and again, it feels like he's starting to rectify it. He's inverting Dallo and other things like this, trying to improve it. But it just seemed to be a massive flaw in the system he wants to play. And Einstein's definition of insanity was doing the same thing over and over again, expecting something to change.
yeah,
And that's what essentially we've been doing. Like since he won I felt things were going really well with Ten Hag until we won the Carabao Cup, and we've just feel like we've languished and deteriorated since then. Even though, regardless of the amount of money that's been spent, I felt like the team were playing well from up to that point, and then there's been some flare bits in between. There's some odd performances like the FA Cup final, but you can see there's been a continued deterioration. We're down to 12th, 13th this year
yeah.
after spending millions again this summer. Um, but you have to look at the players as well as the manager, I think,
Of
because
course, yeah,
we've been looking at them at countless Super Sundays at this stage,
Yeah.
whether it's been Liverpool 5-0 with Dolly and Solskjaer, it's been 7-0. It could have been 5 or 6-0 against Liverpool again the last day. We were lucky it was three, and we were lucky again against Spurs that it was only three. Because if Timo Werner could score, he could
yeah.
have had a hat trick.
Fair
So,
point.
there's so many things. There's no denying that United are a very difficult club to manage. We've seen great managers with great reputations since Solskjaer or since Ferguson left in the 2013, who come in. Yet Moy was supposed to be a clone of Ferguson's style.
Just, I'm just gonna stop you there. On Ferguson, obviously that was the last great kind of. Was it not? I suppose was it the last great year? Because did he have a very kind of mediocre team and he just worked wonders with them in 2013? Or what has that? Was it coming even at that
The
stage?
team was like on a downward trajectory, I think, at that stage, and he did well to get that season out of them. Ferguson is a shrewd man, and he knew when he had to leave, I think.
Yeah,
And you can see from interviews that Rooney has come out with since his retirement, talking about when there was a lot of controversy, and Rooney got a lot of hate from the fans because he was questioning whether he should leave, and this was all coming out in the media. But in hindsight, looking back at it, he went to Ferguson saying, "We sold Tevez, we sold these players, and we're not bringing in quality to replace them."
Yeah.
So you're looking back to a deterioration in the management of the club and the running of the club since that length. And
Yeah,
I
that's
know
11.
there's
That's
like
11 years now. Like, absolutely. Yeah.
since he left, and Glazers were there before that, and we're taking money out of it,
Yeah.
and we're paying dividends on their loans. And look, it's not all the Glazers' fault. Absolutely, they take responsibility. The players take responsibility. The management take responsibility. But like you keep being like, oh, the next day is going to be better. And I've tried to like really genuinely try to get behind Ten Hag. But I said it to you on this podcast after Liverpool game. I was like, that was awful. Like I really think he needs to consider his position needs to be considered. And then he put on a performance that played probably one of the best 45, 60 minutes maybe against Crystal Palace. Now I know opposition needs to be considered in that case, which could see a style of play that was resemblant to what he had at Ajax. And we backed it up by drawing with 20 at home. And when we conceded, 20 looked like they could have scored another 2 or 3 goals if their manager hadn't changed to a defensive system. Again, once they scored in the third minute, it was like Alexander Arnold's goal against Liverpool that was ruled off because of VAR. Like, we're not coming back. We have no spine. Like, Arsenal went 2-0 down, 2-2, and you have faith that they might and always do it, but that they're going to go until the very end. Could see just fear, like we couldn't control the ball after the point, we couldn't pass the ball.
Yeah.
Like Spurs were impressive. Spurs pressed us really well, and they are a very high pressing team. But there's no character in that team to respond to any sort of adverse conditions or anything not going their way. They just seem to absolutely crumble. And
What do you
there are
call it?
players there that have done that with Solskjaer and have done it with other managers. So some of it is down to the players. That's 100%. I
Of
don't know if they
course.
can deal with the pressure of the club. But
Recruitment.
Yeah, no, fair
recruitment,
enough. And just I suppose Dan and Howard, I'll kind of ask you to come in there as well. Like, do you kind of share what Massey is saying, or do you have a different spin on it as to where it has gone wrong? What needs to be?
Well, yeah, just
Howard,
on
go
your
ahead.
first point, are we sad? Are we happy? Like, I think, from Liverpool Arsenal fans, we should cherish these moments. You know what I mean? They're not going to last forever. I'm sorry, but United are a juggernaut. They're not gonna lie down for. I know it's been 11 years, but I'm telling you now, they're going to get their act together pretty quickly. So this idea of feeling sorry for them,
What are you basing that on, Howard?
I'm telling they're a huge club deck. They're not going like the amount of mistakes I suppose that have been made at the top end can't keep happening. They tried to fix it with getting your man in from Newcastle, was it Dan Ashworth? Like I think they are starting to make moves and trying to fix things from internally. But like for me, we said, oh, the managers have been bad, Ollie's been bad, Van Gaal, the players wanted him gone, and now you're left with Ten Hag. And like in truth, like one game saved Ten Hag's career last year, and that was the FA Cup
Yeah.
final. So like, once he loses that, they're gone. And he didn't have a plan last year. And he signed, like I was looking at the signings he made, God, the other day, 600, 700 million or something. No, 590 million or something on
Then six
players. They're
hundred,
just
and
there's a
he's brought in
600.
13.
Yeah.
With 600
Like
million, he's brought in 13 players. Yeah.
yeah, the list of players on it, like you could just like flop, 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 flop. Like there's the Lisandro Martinez is probably one of the few that's been goodish, but he can't keep fit, and that's kind of been it. Like you know what I mean? That's all he's got like for 660 million, and like it's just poor recruitment and not fitting into the way he's supposed to be playing, I suppose. Which
if you
was
looked at that
the plan.
squad objectively, Howard, like if you took form out of it, I gave you that as a blank. This is your
Mm,
squad.
yeah.
You would not think that was an awful squad. You would
No.
not think that is a 13th, 14th place in the Premier League squad. There's a lack of
Well,
goals
like I
maybe up
look,
front,
yeah, I
but
look
there's
at yeah,
definitely
that
depth
was
in it.
that was my next point actually, Mossy. Like that top three, like I'm looking at Rashford, I'm looking at Hoyland or Xerxes or whoever played at the weekend, and I'm looking at Garnacho, and I'm comparing that against the top three of Tottenham, and like you know Johnson, Kulusevski, and Solanke.
Varner.
If you ask them three. Or if you ask most clubs around league which tree would they want, they're going to pick the Spurs tree. Do you know what I mean? They're not gonna. I don't think
Understand,
they're. I
yeah,
don't think they're. I don't think they're picking the United tree. I think. I suppose a personnel up front is definitely lacking. But like for having spent 660 million and not having an out and out striker, not having a really decent winger, it's. I think that you've been unfortunate with Rashford. He kind of just fallen off the boat like to a point like after a great season. But he just doesn't have it like mentally wise to push on and succeed there. And then you go back to the midfield area. So who to have in midfield? They were all couldn't wait for their three midfielders to start this the first game of the season, which is Emmanuel Ugarte, Menu, and Fernandez.
Bruno.
Like Menu's been a revelation, but like he's an 18 years old or 19 years old. He's not gonna be the person you need to go to win you all these games in the Premier League. Like realistically, the ideal thing would be to get him in rotation, but he's like one of the first names on the sheet. Ugarte is a flop from PSG. Casemiro is a flop from, well, he was great first season, either, but he's just flopped then. And then you're left with Bruno, and he's been carrying you for I don't know how long. And then you go to the defense. Like I know what you're saying. Is it like if Arteta got a hold of them or Pep got a hold of them, what could you do with them? But like they wouldn't
But
sign half the players in the
you're
first
naming
place.
30. You said 13 signings, Howard. What club has 13 signings that are all a flop without there being another issue behind it?
Oh well, the,
Like
the issue is the recruitment, I would say. Like you mean, yeah. Look, I know
you've
what you're
got all the
saying. Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're saying exactly. Yeah, but the thing about like Ten Hag, he's been signing these players. You know what I mean? He's been signing players for his system, and they haven't fit the system. But like they don't even look
but
like players that would fit
we've had
any of
this
the.
same discussion. We had the same discussion with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and you've had it with Mourinho, where you get that sense that that's the end, and like that's my feeling after the game yesterday. If unless I expect him to lose the Porto and the Villa, to be honest, and him to be gone at the next international window. Could be completely wrong, but that would be my feeling. It was such a dejected, disconnected from the fan base and what is expected. Now there is a certain element of the fan base being delusional,
Yeah.
expecting we were where we were back under Alex Ferguson, and that's just the
Mm,
reality. Is we like I put us as seventh as my prediction for this season. Uh, like I think
yeah.
that's realistically the
Just
sort of improvement. Sixth,
Yeah, just
you
on
know,
Mourinho, you list all the managers there. Like you out of them all, like Mourinho would probably okay. He's some worth to him. Like he's done it all. Like you know what I mean. I wouldn't say the same about Oli or Ten Hag. But who did
Van Hal had done a
Van
lot
Gaal
as
has a
well.
bit of thing, yeah. But Van Gaal, I suppose he didn't get. Well, maybe he got top four for you, didn't he? Or he wasn't that bad for
won
you.
the FA Cup and got fired. I got sacked
Yeah,
after.
yeah. So like he wasn't. So who did Mourinho sign for you? Can you remember like signings that
Pogba,
Pogba? Yeah, he didn't really work out very
God,
Nemanja
well.
Matic.
what a lump of
Matic,
Um,
shit.
Matic wasn't bad. Like Matic,
Matic was, yeah, like he
All
was
right, all right,
grand.
come
He
on.
was brought
sorry,
from
we're
a
rambling, but
No, no,
yeah,
it's fine, it's fine. Dan, I want to hear the voice of reason here. I want to hear what you think.
the voice of reason. When did Dan ever be the
Well,
voice of reason?
the first point I'd make is that like Liverpool are a big club and it took them 30 years to win a Premier League title. So I know what Howard said about United, but like it doesn't just change overnight. And it took Liverpool an awful long time
But they won a lot of
to
Champions
get
Leagues,
one.
I suppose, in that
Well,
in
they
that
won
time. Dan.
in the 30 years.
Well, like when I was watching Liverpool when they weren't winning the league with Hipia and all that kind of crack, they did still make a good go at it in the Champions League. Like
Won a couple of European trophies and got a couple of finals. Yeah,
he
but
didn't
like what I'm
fall
saying
off, I
is
suppose.
uh, there
No,
was a lot of pain. There was a
in
lot of pain.
fairness to what do you call it, Man United over the last 11 years, yes, look, it's been very much kind of inferior to what was there under Ferguson, but they've still won titles. Like, not okay,
Yeah,
not league titles, but they've won cups
yeah,
along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as to Liverpool, what I'm saying
Yeah,
is to get back to the juggernaut, what I thought Howard was referring to was the Man United who were dominating. That's what I thought he was kind of the what he was
No,
going
I
with,
am.
like
Yeah, I
where they
get
were.
or
Yeah.
backup. Yeah,
So
competing.
yeah, competing. Yeah. So it doesn't happen overnight. It's the worst Man United performance I've ever seen. Definitely in the first 45 minutes, based
Yeah,
on that I think I've ever seen at Old Trafford. Like they actually couldn't string a pass together. Like,
yeah.
so bad.
it was so bad, and they made Spurs look better than Spurs are. I think too. To be
Yeah,
honest with you, they
absolutely.
look like prime Brazil in the first half there, or like prime Pep Barcelona spraying the ball around at will. Like it was ridiculous, and they could easily before the red card, which we get on to, like they could easily been three or four up, and you couldn't have. I don't think there's any fan or United fan or anyone that would have said they didn't deserve to be 2 or 3 up. On based on the first half. play. But like, I suppose on Ten Hag, and we've talked about it, you mentioned the start deck, and I talked about this. It's me rolling my eyes coming on to tonight going, we're at this again, because it seems like if we went back over our podcast last year in particular, we were constantly coming back to the same kind of question of what's going on with United, why can't they get together? And again, if you root back, it's not just a Ten Hag problem, it's been previous managers too. But I think some of them previous managers had a style. Whether United fans were happy with the style of football they were playing, they had a style.
Yeah.
I at the start of the season kind of didn't feel that United were as far along as some people were saying. I know myself and Mossy kind of were chatting about it at the start of the season, and I thought they're fractionally better than they are, and they've signed a few defenders. They look a bit more stable. But the second, and we've talked about the podcast, the second that they got a bad result, they got a bad one off Liverpool, and it could have been a worse scoreline than the scoreline was that day. They licked their wounds. They came back, bet Southampton convincingly, which they should be beating Southampton convincingly, and they were decent against Palace for an hour period of that game. But once it goes wrong, it just seems that there's as Massey had said there, I think, like, once they go behind, like, there's little to no chance they have any faith that they'll come back. Like, where they're going to score goals this season, like, they've signed Zerke, who can, like, reasonably, it's hard to kind of like gauge him yet, but like, he looks like he's reasonably technically good, but he's not going to score you 20 goals. Hoyland, he'll be out on whether or not he can stay fit, firstly, to try and get goals. Like, he spent a bulk of money. He's bought players in to try and get goals, like Hoyland, and he's got injured. But the excuses are running out for him. He got away with it, I think, last year as well.
He should have been gone last year, like, realistically.
But also the injury list got him, and kind of was an out for him too, because they had a fair whack of injuries.
Like you argued that we lost 4-0 to Crystal Palace, but sure, we were playing Johnny Evans, who had first training session in 5 weeks, and Casemiro was playing full centre back because we were that like was the defense, but like he had a full team yesterday basically, bar a left back, and Dallow's been fine. So
and like my point and my point is last season, like, he couldn't field the back four. Like, every week it was a different back four. So like he had the excuse there, which some of it was warranted, like, to a point. But like, the excuses are there's none. He has an only fully fit side. He spent a bulk of money. Like, United's third biggest ever transfer is Anthony, who they don't even play him anymore, and he costs 85 million. So, and he's got a lot of players that have been with him before, so he obviously trusts in them, but they're not repaying his trust back. The majority of them, I don't think, either. No. So it's going to be.
Can I just come in on that for 1 second? I think that also is a reflection of the dressing room and the player power that already existed in United. That he felt that the only way he could break that sort of click and the power that the players had was to bring people that he knew he could work with, he could trust. I think that is a reflection of actual player power that they have in United.
And the interesting thing was, if you were to look at it on the other side of it, he's brought in 3 or 4 or 5 players that he's worked with before. Okay, so have you in theory then got one click that's after coming in that kind of all have worked with him before? So they're all kind of in the Ten Hag camp. Like, Ericsson's point, I think that Neville was ramming down everyone's necks, but it was a fair one. I think about what he had said in midweek against Twente, that they weren't up for it, basically. Like, for a player to go out and say that, and Neville went into it, a senior player. But like, is it a thing where you've got a camp where you've got the Ten Hag believers, and then have you got this number of players who've been there for 3 years under him, that based on their performance yesterday and several of them types of performances, you're going, they don't believe him at all. Like, they're not buying into what it is that he wants to do. So like, I would be, to answer the question, I don't think it's sad. I do think it's quite funny that it just seems to be no, but like, funny in the sense of that it's the same thing. Like, this is the exact same carbon copy that we have seen year in, year out. And the second that it goes badly, it like usually obviously ends with the manager getting the chop, which is going to be the case. It looks like it'll be the case. If it's not in the short term, I still think in the long term. Like, Ten Hag isn't going to bring Man United back to the glory days. I don't see anything that's going to suggest that. So if that's the case, like what do? You bring in another manager? Do you go down the same merry-go-round again, to spending hundreds of millions? This has been like a reoccurring thing, trend the whole way along. I prefer now, to be honest with you, start talking about the game, because like,
can I just add one thing, Dan? Like, like, you're saying, like, getting one click in from another click. Like, realistically, the problem I think is that he spent too much large chunks of money on individual players. Like if you're trying to revamp a team like that, you bring in players for 30, 40 million and you get rid of as much dead wood as you can, rather than trying to keep the odd dead wood here and there and then signing a player for 85 million.
But
You know,
yeah,
there was no like you see
but they
the
couldn't
like.
get rid of them, Howard. They're on 2 year
Yeah,
contracts. They weren't performing. Couldn't
I
get rid of
know.
them.
It's just trying. Yeah, I know. It's easier said than done. But like that idea, I think there just needs to be some sort of cutthroat fucking process there because like otherwise you're just pushing the ball down the hill or whatever, trying to waiting for it to
Right.
happen. But anyway,
All right, on to the game itself, right? We'll
Yeah,
kind of fly
they
through
don't,
the.
but they don't work, and that's if you look at all of the
yeah,
top teams in the league, they work like dogs. Like look at what Aston Villa were doing the weekend against Ipswich. Their
mm,
midfield work like absolute dogs. Like Man United don't. Bruno Fernandes spends most of his time running around the pitch. He doesn't actually hold a position at all for Man United. And hasn't for a long time. As good a player as he is, he spends most of the time running around, running all of his energy out, running around after the ball. They've got Kobe Minu in, who's not a holding midfielder. So what they're actually technically, Manu likes to bomb forward. He likes to get involved in the game, and he's a very, very good player. But they're still in the same scenario, regardless if you've replaced from what I think United's midfield looks like. If it's Ugarte and Manu, I actually don't know whether or not Manu can play that position alongside Ugarte with Fernandes because they're completely disjointed. There's no fluidity there that I can see based on last season. And if Ugarte's going to be playing that kind of a Casemiro role, I still don't think they can play that. I still think they're going to be cut through like butter in midfield, like playing that trio in there. Like, and then they bought Mount. Like even going on and on, but like the actual system that they're trying to play, I actually think that some of the players that they have aren't capable of doing it.
yeah, and the characters aren't like you can say to Rashford, run more, but you just can't get that out of them. You can't like you need changing. You need to change the player personnel to actually run. If you know
I
what
mean,
I mean.
last thing I'll say is that like Rashford and their manager, their moments, their manager is a moment manager. He'll have a one good performance or one, he could pull one out of the bag one week and then be horrendous the next week. And Rashford's the exact same. Like Rashford 2 weeks ago, we were talking about Jesus. He looks like he might have a bit there or something. Then he was left out, which nobody knows why he was left out. It makes no sense why he was left out. So there's obviously something going on there. And now you're in a position where he's back in the team there, and he was up to his old tricks again there at the weekend. He wasn't the only one, mind you. But like it's the same kind of thing where there's no consistency at all, and like they don't work hard at all. I don't think anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So just look, we spent lots of time in United. I just want to get your thoughts on the red card that was given to Bruno Fernandes. What did you think? Just a quick kind of, we'll go around the table. What did you think? I know Howard, you thought was a very,
It's a
very
joke.
soft decision.
Yeah, terrible decision. Like I can't understand how that can't be overturned. Like on the time, like if he makes contact with his studs on him, fair enough. But he just hits him and decided like he's trying to trip him up, or he trips himself and he hits him. Like for me, no way. Like that's what VAR is there for, to show. So again, Kavanagh mad to get the red card out. You hear all the United fan like he just mad to just be the center of the show. He did the same with Rice, not thinking or anything, just straight red, off you go. No looking, no one in his ear saying go look at it in the monitor or anything like that. I thought it was for me a terrible decision. Like the refereeing has just gotten so bad, terrible decision.
Fair enough. Dan, I see you nodding, you in the same.
And no, I won't anymore on it. I agree. It was a terrible decision. Yeah, it wasn't right. It wasn't right card.
Moss?
My initial reaction was, fuck, that gives him an excuse to explain why we get hammered.
Okay, fair enough. We'll move on. Next game I want to cover very quickly.
Can we just say though, the Spurs, like we just talk about Spurs Memento as well. Like they were very good. Like they are good to watch. They're back four that they missed for a lot last season. Like I think that four can play that kind of on the edge of your seat where they could get done in behind. But like that Van der Ven, Romero, Porro and Undagi, I think is a really decent back four, and I think they have a decent enough goalkeeper to a point as well. So I think that they can afford to take risks with that. Looking at their bench yesterday, though, I don't know if you see it, like a lot of young players. I'd be worried if they get a few injuries again, like the last season where Van der Ven was out for a while now as well. I don't think they have to cover.
I think Van der Ven is key there. Van der Ven and Madison. And Madison being moved back to that deeper role seems to be doing really well in it.
Yeah.
And it allows Kulieski then to play in that contain, and they do look good with that sort of movement.
He's a quarterback.
Yeah. But like I'm
It
telling you
does suit
now,
him though.
like
Like Madison has started the season really well and
Yeah.
like has been very impressive, I think. And
Yeah.
it's just a matter, does he do his traditional Madison thing of fading off around after
Yeah.
Christmas, or can
Get
he
an
maintain
injury.
the level?
But
Yeah.
Tottenham will have the highest percentage of possession in every game they play this season. I can tell you now, they'll actually be a higher percentage possession. Okay, maybe City away or something like that, but they'll keep the ball. But you need to focus on what they're poor at. Do you know what I mean? You can't like United aren't going to assume they're going to have more of the ball there at the weekend. They needed like Ten Hag needed to look at their weaknesses and exploit it, but obviously that's not
Sure,
what
all
happened.
you need is one good ball over the top, and this
Yeah,
time
exactly.
they're
Like little
lying,
things
and
like that.
you
Like
have
yeah,
one
yeah.
win. Like, yeah.
All
But
right.
The Dom
that's
looks
the
good
way
as
Ange
well,
plays.
I think.
Yeah, he did.
I think the Dom looks good. Yeah.
The Dom. He looks all right. So does Johnson or Brennan. What's his name?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Brennan Johnson's doing started great
Looks
season.
very good. All right. So Spurs not looking too bad. Another team actually in London are looking pretty good. Chelsea. For all our fucking taking the piss, etc. Not bad. I know, Dan, you're about to go into some sort of rant there. Yeah, that they're
No,
go on.
no,
No.
but it was a point that was in my head before we come on the podcast was how can Maresca do that with like 400 billion players and yet 10 high? You know what I mean? When you look at what
It's a fair
Maresca's done
point.
in
Yeah.
that short space of time, but I watched that game, bits and pieces of it on Saturday, and it was embarrassing.
Chelsea Brighton.
Yeah, it was embarrassing how bad Brighton's game plan was. It was actually it was beyond embarrassing. They were nearly playing on the halfway line. And I don't know how many times before they even scored.
And Van Hecke
Didn't
wasn't
change.
playing. Sure, he wasn't.
No, I
Van
think it
Hecke
was
out, and he's the
Webster
fastest,
and
most
Dunk.
athletic
Yeah.
centre half to have. I couldn't understand why they went that high with Van Hecke, and then like Jackson is good in behind, like he's good pace, and I don't know. I just thought it was a suicidal like to leave them that much space without the centre halves to play it like. Just
There was
seemed
actually
like a woeful decision.
just what they call it. Like obviously Palmer kind of took the plaudits and etc. But Dan, you made a good point the weekend. Sancho and Palmer could become a really, really good partnership. You know, they're really, really good.
Yeah, I think in them couple of games that I've watched Sancho again, I think he's a couple of assists already in that as well. But they're just so fluid for for players just coming in, like Sancho coming in, like a new manager coming in, like at the top end of the pitch. I still think there's question marks to be answered. Like I don't know the goals they conceded, like their goalkeeper.
Oh God,
is a
their defense is terrible. Their defense, they're going to concede goals. Yeah.
So they're one of them where you could see them. They'll win a lot of games, like 4-2 or fucking 5-3.
Yeah,
that's the kind of season
they're going to go and outscore you. That's basically they look like they're going to play like.
They're a step away. Then they're a step away from being a top team. Then
but they look strong enough to get top four. Like if they kept up this level, they're definitely in top four. Strong contenders, I think, if they can get any sort of consistent level.
And the argument is, outside of maybe Liverpool, actually at the top end of the pitch, they probably got the second strongest nearly as a squad. Like their actual top end players are strong. And Nkunku come off the bench. If they play, depending on whether or not where they play Palmer, like Madueke's look decent as well. When he plays, Sancho is decent. So I think the top end of the pitch, and Felix, so the top end of the pitch is, but like it's that back four slash. I'm not sure again with the midfield. I think Lavia actually was fit and came in and was playing regularly for them. I think he's a better player to play in there with Caicedo as opposed to Enzo. I don't know if Enzo can actually play in that role, especially when they get overloaded. I don't think he's the leg. So, but they have. Like, there's no doubt that they've started well. It's kind of like the way Pot finished last season. Looked like they were building something, but in the very early stages of Maresca ball, if you want to call it that. They definitely in the last couple of games that I watched them anyway, they're really good on the eye, and then they have potentially definitely in the top couple of best players in the league in Cole Palmer. Like anyway, I think he's.
I was about to ask like that. Can you kind of say at the moment is Cole Palmer the best player in the league?
I'd say in the current year, I'd say yes. In the last 12 months,
okay, let's do that. So in the last 12 months, like who has been the best player? I think it's Palmer.
Yeah,
I would say so. Yeah, I think it depends. Like Haaland gets goals, but an awful lot of the games Haaland can be non-existent. Where like Palmer just seems to be a chance you want to do anything in any match. Anytime Palmer gets the ball. Remember that game last season? Who was it against? Was it Monday Night Football where
City
scored? No, he scored a ridiculous goal. It was like he was played out in the park. I can't remember who that was against, but it was that game. In that game, anytime he got the ball, like. It was like giving it to Messi. Honestly, he was just like gliding by players, making everything happen. And I did say last year that I think he'd be better, end up a better player than Foden, and I still think that he could be because
A lot of
he has
actually,
He's a
he
better
has
player now
everything.
than Foden.
He probably
I think
is.
it's
He
a better
probably
player
is.
now than Foden. Yeah.
All round player, all round. I think all round. And he's another one. He works like a dog. If you watch him,
He reminds
he works
me.
hard.
He reminds me a bit of Ozil when Ozil playing with Arsenal, like in
yeah.
but he has a bit more grit or a bit more red mist or something about him than Ozil had. But like the way he just passes the ball and glides past players, he just reminds me on his left foot. It reminds me of him a bit, but oh, he's class. Nothing seems to phase him either. Like it just seems to.
He's just so cold.
No,
Not,
the only
not a
thing
lot
that seems
going
to
on
get
there.
the only thing that seems to get his attention is them chippy chips that he likes eating.
The poor
That's the
lad,
only thing
like
that seems to phase him.
for as good as he is on the pitch, like he needs someone to take him aside and train him. But interviews about presenting
How to be
yourself, like
intelligent.
just
What did I
stop
tell
it.
you, Deck? He can't train stupid.
Honest to God, I mean, just if you haven't seen any of his interview, forget about what he does on the pitch. That's undoubtedly he's excellent.
Yeah,
Watch his interviews and just it's something. There's not a lot going on up there. It's just a football going round and round and round. But look, he's coming across as like a genius. And I mean, my next question
very
is
good.
how far can he go? Like, is Chelsea's not like the limit for him? Like, what was it? What is the limit for Palmer?
Well, I think he is if Chelsea are going to do anything over the next number of years,
Yeah.
they give him a monstrous contract.
Yeah, he's already on it.
He's directly fucking 30.
He's going to give him a monster.
He's not going to run out his contract. Yeah,
but he like I suppose the thing is going to be like, he had an unbelievable season last season. Could he go and do it again? And he started anyway in the same vein of form. Like if he's going to be hitting 20 odd goals again this season in the Premier League,
absolutely.
Like that is he's at the top end, isn't he? Like we can compare him to Foden and compare him to like say, I thought last season that City that it was a mistake to sell him, and I felt at the time that he had actually when he got game time, which wasn't that much. He was scoring goals or he was involved in things. Like he was a decent player. And like for 40 million, when you look at it now, like cost 40 million. You know what I mean? Like
out of all the players they bought, like one was always going to stick. Like the amount of money they spent, like one surely was going to stick.
You wonder with the way he plays and the freedom he has in the Chelsea team, would he look as impressive in the very tightly managed system that Pep, like where Pep is like, this is what you do. And
that's a good point.
I don't think you would see the same Cole Palmer if he was still at City. I don't think he would be afforded the freedom that he is.
Maybe.
It's true. Yeah.
But like, how far can he go? Like, forget the 8-year contract. Contracts mean nothing.
He could get Ballon d'Or. I'd say he's gone. Like he's only what age? What is he? 21?
21, 22. Yeah.
So
Real Madrid.
Yeah, he'll go to the top. But like, how will Real buy him? Like they're not going to sell him. Like, and he can't push his way out because he has a fucking 8-year contract.
It's basically like a franchise player in the NFL. Like he's Chelsea's, and he will be the center of that team, and that team's going to be built on. It kind of reminds me a bit of Kevin De Bruyne, how things were set up around him at City. Like I feel for Chelsea, he's going to be one of those club legends that the team is built around.
Needs to stay fit, obviously. If he gets,
he's a United fan.
Yeah. Everyone's United fans were calling for him after the game.
Honest to God, yeah.
They were like, get Palmer in.
They're definitely building something on. Like I think the talk about whether or not they can challenge for top four, I think that they can. Whether they're good enough to get it, we'll see. But they're definitely in the mix. Like
for sure, the amount of money. The amount of money, like they had, like it's insane amount. Like any team that spent that much money, surely.
Hang on. No. You just talked about United. Spent 616 million, so it's not all about money. You can't say that it is.
Well, add another 500, 600 million onto that now, and surely.
Yeah, I know, but if you were to take say since Ferguson, the amount of money that United have spent, but Mark United on that as well, we're over the billion mark anyway, aren't we? It doesn't always work. You can't say that it does.
But look at Enzo, like he's been a flop. He's 100 million.
100 million, yeah. Well, I think I said the season has looked decent though. And even though It costs big money, but he's
fun.
actually he's been decent for them this
It's just
season.
hard to know how many teams could do that, like, in that short space of time, and
They
have,
also had a reasonable run of fixtures. Like they haven't had the worst run of fixtures.
yeah,
Bar City on the first opening day of the season, they should be winning all those games realistically if they want to be like, in the
it's a
top
good
four.
point.
It's a
Good
good
point,
start
yeah.
for Maresca, and
Well,
it's
like
nice
they
to get a
have
bit of run like
what
that.
do you call it? They have Nottingham Forest at home next weekend.
Yeah.
It's gonna
And
be
then
They
my
have a couple of
yeah.
that's
yeah,
my last man standing next weekend, so I'm kind of hoping he does it again next weekend. They'll beat
yeah,
Nottingham Forest, do you think?
yeah, yeah. I
Should
Yeah.
be
think they will. Yeah,
Forest.
yeah.
It's
I don't know.
yeah.
I think that's prime Chelsea lose type of game.
Shut up,
Hudson
Moss.
Odoi come back to haunt them.
Yeah, no, yeah, fair point.
It's just like
Um,
surely it's going to catch up. I don't know. Like there's talk of UEFA if they were in. I don't know. Are they even allowed be in what league? The Conference League or something? Are they going to get
yeah,
kicked out of that because they've actually broken all the rules for that?
Well, yeah, the Premier League they were allowed to sell like the hotel and buy the
Yeah,
women's
they're
stuff
trying to say
back
it like it's like
themselves,
a monopoly, like
and UEFA won't accept that for obvious reasons because
yeah,
it's very dodgy already. Like
exactly that.
so,
Yeah,
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 there's
yeah.
investigations going on there. But if they were to be found guilty of that, then they'll be banned from all European competition for at
interesting.
least a season.
That would be yeah. Well,
Um,
yeah, that's true.
But if you look at Chelsea, like the whole juggernaut that started this, really the kind of revolution with money was when Abramovich came in and bought Chelsea, and
Mm,
the model of spending money for Chelsea, when you look at the form book, has worked for them over time.
yeah.
It has in the past. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's hard to know. I definitely think though that they are building something, and if they can get the problem is they're giving these lads that are shy, some of them that are terrible, 8, 7, 8 year contracts. So like, how do you get rid of these guys? Then
Yeah,
how do you
yeah.
exactly.
how do you move them on? Because
Like that's what I'm thinking.
that's
Like,
the
like it's short term. It's okay now, but like give it a couple of years, and people, there's going to be there's going to be players that can't shift that are burning a hole in their pocket. Like,
Yeah. No,
you know,
fair point. Fair
you
point.
can hope anyway.
What's it called? Move on to what's it call it? Newcastle won, City won. So kind of one thing I wanted to focus on here was does Rodri being out make Arsenal favourites for the title?
Mm.
Howard.
yes.
Do you think so, Dan?
Um,
Sorry, go on,
I,
Howard.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, like I suppose I personally would think in my own head, yes, but I don't think everyone's going to agree with that. Simply
I
because
saw
six.
saw a headline over the weekend and I was interested in it. Does it actually make
I just think I don't think it's just the Rodri thing. Like I think the players Arsenal got in this year, Calafiori and Marino, who we'll see now in a few weeks. I think they're going to make Arsenal a serious machine. That'll just chug out results. I think personally, like they're even with Rodri, Arsenal were going to definitely push them to the very limit. And without Rodri, I think the stats say it all that like they just don't pick up as many points as they would with him. So it's a huge loss, like huge loss. It's a bit of a downer in a way from you'd like to if you Arsenal were to win the league, it's like oh well they won it without Rodri and stuff like that. It is from that point it
back
might be.
that man? You play the hand you're
Aye.
dealt, so what,
So look, I don't know.
It,
How do you feel, Deck?
I kind of got me thinking, like, does it make Arsenal favourites? And like, given how important Rodri has been to us, and you mentioned the stats, so I think slight favourites, yeah. I
Now,
do
not in
think
the
you're
bookies.
favourites,
You
yeah.
go to the bookies now, you're not going to
No,
get that. But like I think between ourselves,
no, I do. I
Some of
think
the bookies
Arsenal
have
will
Liverpool
be
as the favourites at the minute.
good luck.
Yeah,
Sorry,
they do
Dan.
though. Some of the
I
bookies
wouldn't
do
think
have them
so.
as the
No, where did
favourites.
you see that? Hang on, let me look at that. I wouldn't think so.
What do you call it? William Hill, isn't it William Hill? Whatever
Wow.
some of those ones. One of the two I was listening to one of the Guardian podcasts this morning. They were telling me they were saying that
Like
they're some of them have them as
uh,
favourites.
on
I
Liverpool, I
personally don't think
suppose.
Arsenal are favourite. I wouldn't. I would be still City
I suppose.
because
Okay. On that, Moss, like, who do you have in midfield? So
for City,
yeah,
probably it's going to be an experiment between Rodri, Rico, Lewis, Stones, that sort of a rotation somewhere there, I would say.
yeah.
Yeah, look, I do think City are weak, and of course they are, but something about Arsenal that they have to do it the hard way. Like, as in you were 2-0 up comfortably against Leicester the weekend,
mm,
and then to go to, and like, yeah, you're fantastic coming back, but there's a lot of games where they,
Arsenal are favourites. I'm just checking. I knew it wasn't Arsenal. Arsenal are 6-5 favourites for the league, and City are 2-1, and then Liverpool are 4-1.
Oh, I've
who's that with?
checked.
Just
Just
for
don't
that.
like
So
hearing
it is
that.
Arsenal. Arsenal are favourites for the league.
I've
On the
checked
lads.
actually. What do you call it? City's running fixtures from now until the 1st of December when we play Liverpool. Like they're
But
fairly
Yeah.
it's a fairly nice run of fixtures. So I mean that could bode us well.
I think, Jack, though, that like I wasn't looking at the game in particular. Once Newcastle got a bit of confidence, physically in the midfield, Newcastle were like with Joe Linton and Bruno. I thought, they looked more powerful. Like you're
Yeah.
missing a bit of meat in the middle of the field now. Like I said last week on the podcast, so you don't have a player to replace Rodri.
God
Like
no.
I suppose it was Calvin Phillips was the replacement of sorts that couldn't get a game. But you know, I just thought in the midfield there, Gundogan, once Newcastle got their confidence, started going, you could see it, and he doesn't have the legs. Like he needs a bit of protection alongside him.
Yeah.
Rico Lewis, for me, like we don't know what position he plays, nearly every position for City. He
Yeah,
hasn't
fair
nailed
point, yeah.
he hasn't nailed down the position, and for me, he's really good on the ball, and I don't want to kind of like have a go at him because he's playing in there because they're missing Rodri. Obviously, I know he played there a couple of times before, but if your midfield is going to be Lewis, Kovacic, who's he's technically a good player, but he's not world class. I don't think Kovacic is
No,
world class. So,
not at
so
all.
if you look,
Not at all.
so if you look at the midfield with De Bruyne injured and seems to be picking up a lot of injuries now, so you're guaranteed he'll probably pick up another one. You're saying that that's going to be City's midfield. You get away with it when you're playing a lot of your home games that they have coming up. But if you're coming up against an Arsenal, a Liverpool, you've seen it against Newcastle, who when they got their act together there, like in the second half, they were well worthy of a point. I just think that and then looking at the likes of the Champions League, like that midfield isn't a City midfield that would fear, like teams would fear. You know what I mean? Like that's more the kind of point I'd make on it. That's why I think Arsenal seem to kind of have that in the end. Like they've got that physicality in their side, where maybe could you argue maybe that they're just like that midfield for City would be just a bit nice to play against. Like he could get at them. Like I'd expect Liverpool would give them a good rattle as well when we play them if that was their midfield. Of course, if De Bruyne comes back in and they kind of change up the system slightly, like he's still one of the best players in the league, you know. So it's just his fitness with him. But the midfield would be a worry, I think, for City because they don't have another person in there, and they're kind of he's gonna tinker with that. I would imagine a small bit.
January though as well. They'll bring someone in January.
Yeah, I've seen that there was talk of like who might go for. Sure, again, no more than Chelsea. They're like if City want to go and they can find the right player,
they'll get
money is
someone,
money's no object if they decide to go down that route. But yeah, I thought Newcastle were worthy of a point. And Newcastle is in the second half that they played quite well. And I thought
interesting penalty call.
Yeah, anytime you go down like that, I think, and you don't get the ball, it 9 times out of 10. Like I know what you're saying. Like the thing is, does Gordon have to jump over Ederson? Do you know what I mean?
Quick enough.
That's you know what I mean. Did you say that? Yeah, well, that's the thing.
No obligation. A striker has no obligation to lift their foot out of the way, like you know.
Yeah,
so he went down. He was always going to go out. It was a penalty. It was a great finish. I thought Anthony Gordon was fantastic in the second half.
Oh, he was brilliant.
And that midfield was just really started ticking. And when Newcastle crowd get behind the team, there was some noise in that stadium. Like it was intimidating there for City. They got it back under control and near the end and started to push for a winner. But Newcastle was the best I've seen them anyway in quite a while.
Yeah, and I think they played Haaland really well. Like, as in, I know Dan Burn done his best to take his Achilles out of the equation in the first half. But actually, if you watch in the second half, they kept pinning him. And it kind of seemed to be a way that if you have that physicality, which Burn and Char seem to have with him, they kind of put it on him. And they kind of made him
wound up a bit. He gets wound up a bit then.
Yeah, I just thought they made him null and void second half, really. He wasn't really in the game at all. And they kind of done a really good job, I thought, of really isolating him. I thought Newcastle, that's the best that I've seen them play, and that was without a striker as well. Like, you know, they didn't have a centre forward.
All right, fair enough. So United, Chelsea, City, Arsenal 4, Leicester 2. Howard, just get a quick word from you. Obviously showed a bit of grit to get back into it. Were you worrying?
Like I know Matthew said we shouldn't have conceded 2 goals. We dominated the game.
The second one was unbelievable.
Like the 2 goals they got, like one was a deflected shot from like their only free kick that they had in the whole game, and the other one was a worldly, like, you know, like they had, like, you look at the expected goals, it was like 4.8 to 0.2 or something for Leicester. Like, so like Arsenal could have been 5-6-0, they could have won that game, but it just looked like a bit of a struggle. Their keeper was just insane.
outstanding.
Hermansen,
Yeah,
he was like
brilliant.
saving everything. So look, Trossard coming up with the goods again, like such a clutch player, like just like he's a killer inside in the box, and like he's been unbelievable signing. And just one other thing, like Timber and Calafiori now playing fullbacks, they look class. Like Calafiori just looks like he looks like a top player, a very exciting player to watch, I suppose. Dribbling past players and really
Yeah.
front-footed in his tackles and stuff. He's kind of cool to watch with his the Italian hair and everything. It's kind of nice to have someone like that in the team that has that kind
Do
of
you think he was
different
lucky
dynamic.
to stay on the pitch, Howard?
Yeah, yeah. Like to be honest, like out of all the red cards Arsenal got that season, I wouldn't have had much of a qualm about that one.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
a second. It was a
thought he was
second yellow.
lucky.
Definitely
I'm
second
sorry. I'm
yellow,
sorry.
and
Yeah, yeah.
and Skip, I think Skip probably for Leicester, he was lucky to get away with
He
one
was
as well.
bad old tackle.
There was of course a few balls kicked away after the whistle and stuff, but we tried not to get too I tried not to get too infuriated by them
Bring them to
scenarios.
therapy. Bring them to your weekly therapy out.
Oh,
Yeah.
like it's just one, yeah, it's annoying. That'll be a bone to pick now every time we watch a game for the rest of the season. But yeah,
All
look,
right.
that's it. That's it.
Yes or no? Is this the season?
It's the season deck. It's always the
Well,
this is the
it's
season.
always the season until
This
it's
no,
not.
this is. I have a feeling this is it. Hopefully.
You're not gonna break.
No, I think the team we have together now, like we haven't even started our starting 11 yet, like our starting midfield yet. Like once we have Odegaard, Marino, and Rice in that number 6. I think once we have that up and running, Havertz up front, I think that'll be a bit of a machine of a team. Like they're all over like 6'3" or whatever. Like it's just, it's a bit crazy. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, we'll
We shall
see.
see. All right. So the rest of the fixtures: Ipswich 2, Villa 2. Did you see Liam Delap?
Oh,
He had a
Yeah.
savage game.
See his
is
second
is he
goal.
that good? Is he always that good? Because he was brilliant. His second goal with the step over
His second goal was
sent
fantastic.
Diego Carlos back to wherever he's from. Where is he?
Yeah.
Brazilian, is it?
Back to Brazil.
Yeah. No, I was
Yeah.
delighted for them. What's he call it? Villa. It'll be interesting to see now how they juggle Europe in the Premier League, and I suppose that might have been the first sign of it, getting ready for Bayern Munich during the week. Ipswich, though, look, on the other hand, another great point for them. They're up in 15th, I think, 14th, 15th.
Like
Um,
it's 4
Unbeaten.
draws, isn't it? Like
yeah, absolutely. And what's he call it? McKenna as well is doing very, very well. They seem to have they're not being naive about it either. Like they know when to they know when not to play. They know when just to
Yeah.
dig in.
They're well coached.
Yeah,
they're conceding goals, like they're trying to be compact and then they break. It's serious speed between Amari Hutchins and
Yeah.
Liam Delap there. It's
Who?
such
Yeah,
speed.
is
Yeah.
that the lad on the left wing? The lad, the
Yeah,
Grealish lookalike. Is that him?
No, Jack
No,
Clark. That's right.
That's
Yeah.
Jack Clark. Yeah,
He played well yesterday.
Yeah.
yeah. He's
Good
they were
player.
lucky. The Ipswich probably should have had a player sent off too. Like it's a bad old tackle. I don't know how that wasn't a red card.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
He was on the yellow
yeah,
as well.
Oh, that
he was.
definitely,
Yeah, I don't know how he
Yeah,
got sent
yeah.
off. It was
that
an
was
awful
definitely
tackle. Could have
sent
been
off.
straight
Yeah.
red.
Yeah.
But
Right.
yeah. Other than that, I was delighted. That was my highlight of the weekend.
Yeah, no, they're
Yeah.
very, very good. Where else? So Wolves 1, Liverpool 2. Not at your best, Dan, but you got the job done.
Yeah, it was the first win ugly under Arnie Slot because it was a very bad match. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
top of the table.
Yeah. Look, you couldn't have asked for a better start, I guess. Tough one. I think going away to Palestine next week, see how they get on. But yeah, I think on paper, it looked like Liverpool should be going there and winning comfortably, but it wasn't comfortable.
No.
But they did enough. Yeah. But there's definitely I suppose if you can get that into that habit of winning and not playing at your best.
Yeah.
It's always a good habit to get into as well. So yeah, no, look, it's been a great start.
Another man of the match for the lad.
Dutch
Yeah, no,
Destroyer.
he was again. Yeah, he was exceptional.
It's mad, isn't it? Just turn things around. Like, is it a
Yeah.
matter of just teams figuring him out, or is it just
I
that
think
he's just turned the
yeah.
leaf?
No, I
Position.
think like he there was always talk last when we signed him where he was going to play under Klopp, whether or not he played in the deep role, and he kind of I think mainly played him in a more advanced midfield role under Klopp. But I think the fact that the games aren't as fast and furious suits him.
Yeah.
Personally, the deeper position alongside McAllister as well. I think the two of them, they're a really good combination. The two of them. I'd have a question mark under Szoboszlai though on some of his performances that he's put in. Like he again, I was kind of having to go with Bruno Fernandes, but Szoboszlai does a lot of it as well. Like he's running around a lot and puts in the hard yards. But like, I don't know, like yeah, just for me, I'd have a question mark over him. Like if he's our attacking, kind of suppose
Presence,
link
yeah.
with the top three, he really needs to be contributing more. Like he should have scored at the weekend, but he's had a few performances so far this season that have been lackluster for me. But the other two are excellent. Yeah, McAllister kind of that deeper role alongside Gravenberg, and like, Gravenberg had shown like kind of that role that he's not just there to break up the play. He gets the ball, and God, when he gets going, like he glides by players like they're not even there. Like he has been.
Yeah, Torre type stuff.
Yeah, like he has so far anyway. I don't know if it's necessarily a thing of trying to figure him out, Howard. Like his game is quite simple. He gets the ball, he breaks it up, and then he just strides forward. Like it's not complicated what he's doing. It's just he seems to be
Did
very
Klopp
good.
ever play him in the six?
He might have played there once or twice when like we went through. Sure, we had so many injuries last season. It was at times that he may have played in there in pockets. But to be honest with you, he never really looked like he had settled. And maybe it's a thing of, again, look, it was his first season in the league. It's his second season now, and he's playing that in that deeper role. But Slotted, even when in his sound bites about him, said he was surprised because he knows him, and that as well was surprised as to like how well he's playing. I think nearly he was pretty much saying that he's surprised him of what he's been able to do. And again, look, isn't it just a big thing in football when you get a bit of confidence going and get a run of games in the team? Like he never got a run of games. He was getting a game here, a game there. But
he was very well rated back in the day as well when he was youngster in Ajax. He was supposed to be the next big thing. So maybe just didn't work out with Bayern, didn't work out at the start of Liverpool, and he's just starting to.
And the other side
what age is he?
He's 23, 24, but he only cost 25 million. That's the other thing that people are forgetting. Like he cost 25 million. Like it's not as if he was a player that came in that broke the bank. We kind of got him cheap off Munich because he never got really into the team when he went there. So look, it's looking decent. I think Kanate again. He was a mistake for the goal, but his overall games that he's played, like he's bossing it alongside Van Dijk. Like there's a physicality there. He seems so much sharper and so much more intelligent. So. Like it's very early days, but like to be sitting top of the table with the way things are, a couple of big difficult fixtures kind of going to come up for us as well. Like there's a few difficult enough ones as well. So look,
you've had a nice start, yeah. You've had a nice fixture.
Nice start, yeah. And I think there's enough forward players there, like against in the Carabao Cup against West Ham during the week. When he makes changes, they have enough kind of decent players going forward that can win games. So I'd imagine between the Champions League and the Premier League, if we don't get injuries, what we have there at the moment should be well able to rotate them well enough as well.
Very good. All right, so the rest of the fixtures as far as nil: Fulham 1, Everton 2, Palace 1, and Brentford 1, West Ham 1. So now, Dan, we'll go on to fantasy football. You sent me the table earlier. Anything kind of standing out for you? I know it's only 5-6 games into it, but
yeah, Howard's wildcard.
I knew something was going to happen. I played the wildcard. Look, I'm happy enough playing the wildcard. I've another wildcard coming next week. Except I've had to jump into my I had 2 free transfers before the wildcard, so I've shifted things around slightly. Already, yeah. I'll leave it. I won't reveal anything yet. You'll see what's happened.
But are the players? Have you made this the cardinal sin, which is you confirmed the transfers, and are these players going to play in Europe during the week?
Which the players that I'm bringing in?
You're after bringing in, yeah. If you already made your transfers, cardinal sin to make transfers.
Oh, I know, but I'm worried about one of them is going to shift in price, like.
Right. Okay.
I'm on the border with the price setting. So, look, tune in next week for that. But no, I didn't have a great wildcard week. But look, once Haaland doesn't do well, I think anyone who has Haaland will struggle to get any points, I guess.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the table here, and Mossy, you are going strong there, my friend. You are just shy of the top 10.
Where is he? I'm looking at it as well. Where is he?
He's 12th, I think.
Yeah, he is Highland on for a... Okay, sorry. What a shit name. Highland on for a hero. Come on.
Fuck you.
Like to comment there, Moss? Like to comment?
Yeah, look, it was great. I had Palmer in my team this week, so he was doing the goods, basically. A friend of mine triple captained him in a different thing, so he got 75 points for him on his own. So
fucking hell.
Yeah, so he had a great week. But yeah, look.
I just see. I'm just looking at
going well has benefited me. I'll put it that way.
Fair play. I'm just sorry to cut across you, Moss, and Dan as well. I see, and Andrew Curley is slowly starting to creep his way back up the
Yes.
league.
That guy.
A
That guy.
ghost from the
Redemption.
past. Yeah,
Redemption.
absolutely. He's coming for
No.
blood. He's coming for blood, man.
Can we just note that Dan has played his wild card? Haven't you, Dan?
No,
you
this
haven't?
is the thing, right? So
Okay.
I decided to take an extra week, and I gambled on that Haaland might only get one against Newcastle.
Yeah.
But he didn't, so I actually didn't play my wild card, and I had a good week. To be honest with you, if Palmer hadn't done what he'd done, I would have had a very, very good week because I don't have Palmer. But because a lot of people did have him, I kind of combated the players that I had in my team. But I got took one -4, but I got 75 in total. Yeah, so I kind of
did
it was a
very
good
well.
week.
Are you playing the wild card next week?
I'm not sure yet because I had a good week. I have to look at it. The problem being is Haaland has there's a lot of tasty City fixtures. You know, there's so many there's so many fixtures coming up for him. And then the other thing that's annoying me is that I have Saka, but then Cole Palmer is running amok. And do I want to be watching Palmer and Haaland, running amok and not having them for the rest of the season? That's my question. And it's so funny because like Salah was terrible again against Wolves, and yet he got the penalty and scored, and it looked great, like in regards to his points tally. Like he actually, performance level wise, again was very poor.
You could be on the chopping board.
I see what a lot of people. I think you do it, didn't you? A lot of people took Salah out and put in either a Diaz, a Jota, or both.
I got rid of Diaz there already.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting, but
you're an odd man, Howard, aren't you?
Got Diaz in, got him out, took him out.
It wasn't for me, like.
Yeah, you'll see my team now next week, Daniel. I'll be interested to see what you think.
It was funny though that the second you messaged and said I played my wild card, I knew that you'd taken Salah out, and I actually messaged into group saying,
"Yeah, I know,
Salah's going to score at the weekend."
Yeah, because I didn't put him in. He's fucking crap.
Anyway, let's talk about people who are actually doing very well. So
we're actually good at the game, yeah.
Yeah. So Paddy Carney is still leading the way there. We're afternoon delete, and we have a Saka Spuds there who's not too far behind.
Some of these names are brilliant, man.
Yeah. Anthony Knight actually is tipping away nicely there as well. He's been around there from near the start as well. There seems to be. I'm just looking there now to see if there's any outstanding score. There's an 86 here. Hang on, someone got 86.
Ronan Stack's name on the Howard. Ronan Stack's name on the thing. Stacktar Donetsk. I like that. That's good one. And,
there's a lot of good ones.
Number Billy Archbold. That's the real name. That's just the real person.
I know Billy, yeah.
You know Billy's name. I'm sorry, Nick Jackson. And then what is it?
That works actually good. Yeah, it's good.
Patrick Murphy, did he know him?
No, I have one for you though, Jack. A good friend of the podcast here.
Patrick Murphy, is that Paddy Murphy? That's the guy you sent a clip for.
But again,
was that the clip? Remember the guy you?
No comment. I don't know. I doubt it.
That's the same guy.
But
sorry, go ahead.
I have a fella here who's a good friend of the show, but I'm going to call him out here again because he again is. There's a bit of cloudy Ranieri about him. We call him the Tinkerman of our podcast here. Mark Mulligan.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, sport and lesbian. So he decided to take -16 there at the weekend.
Very good. That poor lad can't catch a break with fantasy football.
He made a few transfers and he finished on 57 and then took -16 on top of that. So he's obviously
he's taking a long game.
Yeah, he's taking a long game. But so look, it's there's one more week, I think, one more weekend before the international break. So a lot of people did play the wild card, and then there's some that still haven't. And yeah, it's kind of a thing where do you wait now to after the international break, see what way players come back after injuries, and see whether or not.
I've got to say, Dan, I have Semenyo playing tonight, so he's probably going to get a hat trick. So I'll be up beside you now. Don't be counting your chickens yet.
Okay.
Semenyo actually is a decent player, isn't he?
Yeah, he's very
good.
Yeah.
Very
my brother was sitting here with me, right? And it's sickened my hole now at the weekend. I'm going to just mention this because I need to get it off my chest. So I take the whole Palmer thing, whatever like that.
Therapy.
So I'll take the whole Palmer thing. So my brother decided he needed a cheap. He wanted a midfielder that would play 90 minutes. So that was his rhetoric for this. I want a midfielder that plays 90 minutes. So I was there and I was like, right, okay. So there's plenty of them out there, right? So he turned around to me and he goes, oh yeah, no, I wanted to put in a cheap enough midfielder. So he put in Dwight McNeil, right? Like Dwight McNeil doesn't
Never
score
does anything
goals.
usually. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's missed
He's
an
been
awful lot of
decent.
goals,
Yeah,
though. Like,
No,
yeah.
he's no, look, he's
Everton
decent.
don't score goals.
No, he's decent. He's a good left foot. Like he's good at whipping it. He's not a goal scorer though, but he scored an absolute fucking peach at the weekend, and then got a
Great goal.
second. I was just
Yeah.
sitting there looking at him, going like, "How's your fucking luck?" Like, you know, my
Yeah.
God,
Or he's
Dwight
just- yeah.
McNeil.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
tell you what, there'd be a lot of teams could have Dwight McNeil in them next week. Who knows?
they could.
to be
Yeah, they
fair,
could.
Everton, we probably should say, give them a bit of a shout out. It was their first win. We've given them a lot of a boost. So fair
But
play
he,
to them. That was a big one.
being truthful, he is actually one of the players I brought in for next week.
God love you, man.
Done already.
And you know what? He'll do nothing there for about 10 weeks now.
Yeah.
Probably got injured.
Yeah, some sort of black magic. Wherever you put in, just absolute shit.
All right. We move on to Super 6. What do you call it? I don't actually have the table in front of me. Dan, do you have the table in front of me?
Yeah, give me 1 second over here. Yeah.
I had a terrible week. God.
So did I, and I got 4
Yeah.
points. I'm doing awful. I actually forgot to do my predictions midweek last week.
That was so funny because you messaged into the group saying, "Lads, don't forget your predictions," and you forgot yours. That's brilliant.
It wasn't for the same fixtures, but however. Just while Dan is getting the table up, I'm just going to tell you the fixtures for midweek Europe this week.
Oh yeah.
Liverpool versus Bologna, Villa versus Bayern Munich, Lille versus Real Madrid, and Arsenal
mind.
PSG,
Yeah.
Slovan Bratislava versus City, and Borussia Dortmund versus Celtic.
That'll be some. That'll be some hammering. It's the City game. Slava, the lads that what Celtic hammered them already, didn't they?
Celtic destroyed them, yeah. So.
I have it here. Stephen Flynn had a monstrous week.
Okay.
Yeah, he got 16 points, so he got
Oh jeez.
2 correct scores. He had the Liverpool 2-1, and he had 1-1 in the Brentford West Ham. I was so annoyed. I had 2-1 Brentford. When you look at it,
Same as that.
you know,
I had 2-1
even
Brentford.
1-1 written all over it though. When you think about it, like
I
had
had 2-1
1-1
Brentford,
for
and
Brentford,
I had 2-0 Liverpool.
yeah. So he got a 16. There was a couple of with 14. Thomas McCartney and Darren Mitchell got 14. So the table, Stephen Flynn is now taken over. He moved up 7 spots. That's 16 points hauled. So he is top of our
volatile enough.
Too.
That table. Volatile.
Of course, oh yeah, a lot of change.
It's volatile when you're looking though at the top of it and you're like 30, 40 points off.
Yeah,
It's volatile for
change
longer.
quick enough.
Yeah, he's on. Yeah, no, I can. Yeah, especially now with the midweek fixtures as well. And again, look, there is a good bit of luck involved, especially when there's going to be midweek fixtures. You know, it's hard to know with some of the games that we're even going to talk about now as well as to what way they go. But yeah, so he's top of the table there, and Damien McDermott as well as and you know him, no, he's second, and my brother is third as well. So Richard is going all right there. But yeah, it can change. Like you could be 30 points off it, and then like a couple of correct scores, and you could be right back up. And yeah, it's like that, and like it's a war of attrition. Like this goes on.
Don't lose hope, Deck, is what he's trying to say.
Yeah,
I was just make sure you remember to do your predictions, people.
That's half the
yeah,
battle.
Jesus, Deck, you're in a relegation battle.
I know, yeah, but look, my focus is on last man standing, which we'll talk about now in a few minutes. All right, I want to get your predictions. So Liverpool and Bologna, Dan, what do you think?
Hang on, I have mine done here, so let's tell you what I actually have. I have 3-0 Liverpool. Yeah, I think Bologna sold a few players. Like really, like yeah, I think we'll be winning that comfortably enough, even if we make a couple of changes. So I've gone 3-0.
Okay, Howard, Villa and Bayern Munich.
Oh, I did 2-1, I think, or yeah, 3-1. I think I have Bayern 3-1.
You see, Kane limped off the weekend. See that?
He's fine. I think he's fine.
Is he?
Yeah.
So you want to
How do you know he's
keep
fine?
your pants, keep your
Grand.
panties in your pants there, Dan.
Jesus
the way
Christ.
he said it, like kind of like, oh, he's fine.
He's fine, never mind.
I
Move
got
on.
the inside scoop. Yeah.
Okay. Drinking with journalists. You got the inside scoop. What do you call it? All right. Mas, Lille versus Real Madrid. That'll be a good game.
Yeah, I will. Hopefully Angel Gomez managed to stay on the pitch for this one and not get sent off. So I think I've gone 3-1 to Madrid. But I find these midweek games, very hard to call.
Oh, it's so
compared to the Premier
They're
League,
very
like.
difficult. Yeah, in Europe.
But even in the Premier League, like, 4-2 Arsenal against Leicester, like, the game.
Yeah, you probably backed Arsenal, like, but to get 4-2 now.
Yeah.
all right, Arsenal and PSG, Howard.
I have 2-1 Arsenal.
Very good.
The Gunners.
Slovan Bratislava versus City, Dan.
I think City might rotate a bit, so I've gone for 3-0 Yeah, again, it always annoys me because I never get a City score right, and I usually always do them to win 2-0, and they always concede an early goal and back and win, and that's probably what's going to happen here again. But I've gone for 3-0.
Very good. Mass, Borussia Dortmund, and Celtic.
4-2 to Bruce Dortmund.
That could be a high scoring thrashing for Celtic. Like, if it could be.
It could be, and it's in Dortmund as well. So
yeah. All right, very good. So again, get your predictions in. They're midweek, so get them in as soon as possible. And the winner of our predictions will be getting, what is it, €100 cash, and I should have said as well, for the fantasy football, a jersey of your choice. What else I meant to mention as well, after last week's show was our highest view show so far this season. So 2,093 people watched the show last week. So it's irrelevant.
You must have got the Indians back to help you out, did you?
No, it's irrelevant that I watched it 2,000 times. But it's irrelevant. We have 2,093 viewers, which is really good. And
the
thank you to
Spittle
all.
Sweatshop.
Thank you to all who are watching and following and subscribing. So please continue to do so. Before we go, what do you call it? Last man standing. So if Bournemouth lose tonight, we're down to 32 teams left, which has started off with like 350. So like, I'm there, I'm in the driving seat. Feeling
you
confident.
have it all panned out, don't you? You've it all set out what's going to happen.
I thought I did. I'm going to go with Chelsea next weekend versus Forest, and we'll take it from there. What I've started to do, trying to put the odds in my favor, I've started to text other participants in the group trying to intimidate them.
No holds barred, last man standing.
Yeah. It's so funny because he'll win 500 quid, but then he'll have so much lawsuits against him that like it won't be worth it.
Yeah, as well. My brother is still in it. What's he calling? He had Chelsea at the weekend as well. I don't know who he has left, but I was texting Mark Mulligan, who's kind of over it as well, and he was telling me that one or two people still have, I think, Arsenal or City to pick. So I mean,
is he giving you insider information? Is that what you're telling me?
No, not at all. Just the fact that
sounds like it is to me. Sounds like it is.
But how's that inside information? I don't know these people.
Yeah, but you know who they have left.
So what?
You need to know them.
How am I going to use that for my benefit?
Because you know what big teams that they have left.
That's irrelevant. I don't know who.
So it's all tactics.
It's not tactics. I'm gonna win €500. I'm gonna bring you all out for a.
Here we go.
A succulent Chinese meal, and yeah, look, it's good crack, but I'm not as confident as I once was because I'm running out.
You thought you were winning about 6
I
thought there'd be less people left. Less people left.
Not even that, but like I know Chelsea versus Forest next weekend. Like, but after that, I'm kind of struggling. I was going to pick Man United, but like they have Brentford the following week, and I'm not that confident anymore of United. So, and Villa are away to, I don't know who they're away to, but like it's not, Villa are away to Fulham.
All right, they're playing United away next weekend, aren't they?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I thought Fulham, down near the bottom. Fulham are up in fucking 6th.
Yeah.
So
do you know what though, Jackie? You kind of had this idea that I know you thought that there was less people there actually was in it, but you had this idea that like because you kept a lot of the big teams, thinking you're the only person in the last one standing that's going to have kept some of the big teams. But like the thing is, it always goes down to the nitty gritty where you're picking the likes of your fucking Crystal Palace, your Brentford, and then I looked it up after I was talking as well. I think and made sure that that this last man standing as well. If people get wiped at the same time, it goes down then to how many goals they've got overall. So that there is a kind of So how are you doing that way? Do you know how many goals you've got?
I don't know, but I know that I'm joined with my
brother.
It's
not going to get that far, Dan. Come on. Goals.
It's the hope that kills him. I love it, though. I love it.
Palmer gets sent off next week.
I was nearly gone at the weekend, sure.
Yeah,
Trust loads of teams would have been gone at the weekend had that happened. Like, but
can I let our listeners in? This is now a really good one for our listeners. I want to let them in on a little secret, okay? So this is a man who's here. He's wearing a Man City jersey. This is potentially going to be the closest ever title race. And he was beating the fucking chest and maybe beating something else. I don't know what else he was at. The Arsenal getting the late winner against Leicester at the weekend to give them a massive 3 points after City dropping points.
The game's gone.
Ladies and gentlemen, the game is fucking gone.
Yeah, give us back our game. Okay. Right, that's us for another week. Please continue to listen and watch. what's he call it, lads? Thank you very much as always.
Cheers,
Thank
Deck.
you very
Thanks,
much,
folks.
Deck.
Thanks,
All right.
Deck.
Bye, lads.
Moss, don't worry. All right, it'll all come good again in time. United will be back.
30 years, Dan, is that what you said? So what are you?
But I'm just saying that is you
Brighter
can't-
times ahead, Moss. Brighter times
know,
ahead.
there was a
19
time-
years to go, guys. Season 19 of this podcast is going to be my year.
like put it this way, you haven't got to. I don't know if you got to the stage where you bought a likes of a Varney. You know, that's what we were dealing with there for a time at Liverpool. Do you remember him with the ponytail?
Yeah.
You haven't got there yet, but you know, it's we had no money to spend, and we were an absolute basket case for a number of years. So yeah, you haven't got there yet.
It's all good
Feels
though.
like we have. Feels like we have.
All right, lads. Thank you very much as always. Have a good week.
Thanks, Deck.
Cheers, Deck. Good luck.
Cheers,
Bye,
lads.
guys. Cheers.
Good luck. Goodbye.